Every idea starts with a problem. Warby Parker's was simple. Glasses are too expensive. So they set out to change that. By designing glasses in-house and selling directly to customers, they're able to offer prescription eyewear that's expertly crafted and unexpectedly affordable. Warby Parker glasses are made from premium materials like impact-resistant polycarbonate and custom acetate. And they start at just $95, including prescription lenses. Get glasses made from the good stuff. Stop by a Warby Parker store near you.
This is a Hat Trick
podcast.
Oh, lovely.
Hello and welcome to In the News This Week, the podcast from some of the team behind Have I Got News For You, where we take you through our picks of the news this week when the TV show can't.
We'll be looking at both the serious and not so serious news items and trying to convince each other of which story we think would have been perfect for the show if it was on air.
Which it isn't. But let's introduce ourselves anyway. I'm Emerald Paston. I write on Have I Got News For You.
I'm Jack Harris, the sometimes producer of the show.
I'm Mike Raymond, sometimes series producer of the show.
And I'm Queenie Miller, the picture researcher for the show, which is obviously essential for a podcast.
Absolutely key.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
We're all in the Have I Got News For You offices.
What I do like is that you three are all in the same place but in different rooms, which I like.
Me and Emerald are next door.
It's in my rider that I don't share a room with those two.
Sensible.
And you're all lit completely differently.
And we've chosen our lighting state based on personality.
Yeah, Queenie sat in the dark.
Slightly dim.
Oh.
I didn't mean that, but
I could say something really bad right now, but I won't.
Oh, wow. That's even worse
That's
than
so
actually
much-
saying
yeah.
it. Yeah. I'm used to your brand of psychological torture, and I'll just...
Before
bat it
Queenie
off.
breaks Mike,
Jack, have you had any new New York discoveries?
you know what?
Maybe this time in the cleaning aisle?
No, actually,
Supermarket?
there's no domestic discoveries really from my end.
Thank God.
Although I did go to the US Open. That was good.
Wow.
And we watched the game until 2:30 in the morning. They don't have any kind of Wimbledon style, I will stop this early.
It's crazy when you consider how much deodorant costs over there that they're playing for that long.
Mate, honestly, they all stink. They absolutely stink. But I went and had a curry in Queens, and it felt like the most London place I've been to.
Really?
The whole vibe of it, I was like, this is quite nice. It feels more like the UK.
No one making eye contact.
Yeah. People rude. I actually had someone outside a sort of bar or something like that at about 7 p.m. and some woman walked past me and she went, "Giant man," and then walked off.
No way.
For the record, I am novelty sized. I'm 6'8".
I think I did that when I first met you, so I get where she's coming from. Sorry, was that like a hate crime?
No, it's fine, man. If people want to mention it, that's absolutely fine.
Jack, I always remember when we did the show together on the Thursday morning, the host would come in, whoever was hosting that week, and I always enjoyed the reactions to how tall you were. And most people could rein in. My favourite one, I don't remember this, Clive Myrie walked in and just proper like Anchorman newsreader just went, "Wow, you're tall." And then just was like...
Have you played basketball yet?
Played basketball the first week, bashed my knee, and I've had a swollen knee for about 3 weeks since. So.
Were they much better in the US
They
than
are
in the
so
UK?
much better. Oh my God, they're so much better. I am not bad at basketball in the UK, and I went and played, and I was like, oh, this is a lot harder.
You're like one of the worst guys.
Honestly, they're like, they actually can play. Turns out.
Who knew?
Also, I saw a child get sick on the pavement and a pigeon eat it.
Yes.
Disgusting.
And talking to a friend from home, my friend Joe, he said, presumably it's not a pavement pizza, it must be a sidewalk stew.
That's horrible. Shall we get on to round one?
Please.
Keeping the bleakness going.
Yeah, why don't we get into round one, which is where we dive into this week's major topic. And it feels like this week it's the fact that MPs are returning to the Commons after their summer recess. Have you enjoyed the new back to school vibes we're getting from politics at the moment?
They're all like double strap backpack people. None of them have the cool bag, I think, when they're going to school.
Nigel Farage doing this kind of like walk down the corridor back to school.
Yeah.
The idea that he's there to be the kind of pain in the arse to all the teachers, basically. They've had 6 weeks away from him and it's been joyous 6 weeks. And all of them have woken up on the first day of school and thought, I've got to deal with Farage again.
As a former teacher, did you have a Farage?
Thankfully not.
Although Farage would be great, though, if you were in a classroom. He'd be like, there's that kid who goes on holiday and brings back American sweets.
Yeah. I think it'd be a lot of, my mate doesn't go to this school, but honestly.
Definitely.
My mate Donald.
Yeah, my mate Donald.
My mate Donald.
He's massive, mate. You'll love him. You probably never see him because all of our meetings are like, we always go to his house. So, yeah, right.
We hang out and have like special parties. Just us and the Russian Secret Service. Allegedly.
The most fun kids are the ones who just kind of like are honest and say stuff. So I don't think there'd be many politicians that I'd enjoy teaching. When you go back to school, there's this long list of stuff that you've got to get cracking into. And I think the list for Labour at the moment is getting longer, isn't it?
Labour haven't had a summer holiday, keeping the school analogy going. They failed their exams last year and they've been doing resits all summer.
It's true.
And they've come back and they failed their resits. And everyone's going, what are you going to do now?
Well, you're right. They've been held back a year, haven't they, basically? Because it's all the same that we had previously.
According
Yeah.
to them, probably held back like 15 years, 14
Yeah,
years.
exactly. They went
there you
into
go.
year one and they stayed there for their entire... all their other mates had left and graduated.
I mean, the big thing that's broken this week is obviously the government halting weapons sales to Israel. Now, obviously, we're not here to say what we think or give opinions on the conflict, and neither's the show. But I think, yet again, it's an impressive feat from Labour to piss off absolutely everyone while also managing not to make a stance on it.
Yeah.
Because they have 350 contracts to give weapons to Israel, and they've halted 30. So they're still doing 320. And of those 350, that amounts to less than 1% of Israel's defence imports from other countries. So, like someone said, it's going to have absolutely no impact. But unfortunately, given the timing of events in Israel, which are horrendous, they've made a spectacularly bad time, whatever you think about it, to do this sort of halfway house. I mean, it sort of, for me, sums up what Labour have done so far is they're sort of trying to tread this ground. And this doesn't just apply to Israel, of being all things to all people. If you just try and appease everyone, you're just going to piss everyone off, which is kind of what they're doing.
It's a bit like the smoking thing, isn't it? Because that has kind of came out as a rumour and then they hadn't really addressed it. So that's just been filled with all these people being like, they want to stop nightclubs. No one's going to be able to chat anyone up anymore.
Yeah.
I wasn't old enough to sort of see the proper political fallout of the smoking ban, but I'd be interested to know if it was like as much kind of like...
It wasn't really a thing. I know everyone's looking at me because I'm the only one old enough to remember it. Fuck my life. It wasn't really a thing. When was it? Was it
2007, yeah.
I think ultimately the economy was in a better place. And I think since then you've had a financial crash, you've had COVID, and you've almost had another financial crash. A string of scandals, money's tighter, there's a lot of problems. And I think people are now looking, going, what are the government doing to infringe my rights? I think there's much more of a movement with that. And it wasn't, that just didn't exist at the time. The big thing that annoyed everyone was you could smell in nightclubs. 2007, nightclubs just smelt of smoke and everyone was happy with that. And then they stopped smoking and all of a sudden it was like, oh, all your favourite nightclubs smell of feet and farts, and it's awful. And there was like this huge adjustment where I think they probably all had to invest in aircon units. 90% of that was the biggest thing people cared about, and there wasn't any of this big movement into, oh, they're infringing on our rights and it's all part of a plan for the lizards who secretly rule us.
What I've seen on the internet before this was even a discussion is smoking after having like one pint or in a garden has been like a young person joke of that being the best thing ever. Then when this was introduced, the memes of teenagers on Twitter being like, that was my brat girl summer. That was part of it.
One thing I quite like is that this is going to be passed as part of the government's tobacco and vapes bill, which was first introduced by Rishi Sunak. So it's kind of like, actually, they're the ones trying to ban smoking, and then they come in and plan, how dare you take away our liberty and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, some real opportunism, classic political opportunity. Have you guys seen as well we definitely asked this question on the subject of Keir Starmer. What else has been taken away from Downing Street?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
He's taken down the portrait of Thatcher, which is a shame because of its cultural importance, given that it inspired the storyline for Ghostbusters 2 and the portrait of Vigo.
I heard that it was taken down because like a rural farm needed another thing to scare away their crows from their crops.
Because, Starmer's had a lot of praise for Thatcher over the years. Since he come to power, he sort of praised her quite a few times.
Yeah.
So I think, to be fair to him, taking the picture down, I sort of get it, because it is hard to work when you're really horny.
Yeah, these are great.
Jesus Christ. I also enjoyed that, did you see Priti Patel talking about her leadership launch?
No.
She said, well, if you need a photo, replace it. can I have one of me? And pointed to a picture of herself. And I was like,
Wow.
that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And it kind of people went, huh. Yeah, okay.
I think she's trying to undergo a bit of a rebrand because she had a profile in the Times and she was talking about how she's into Pilates and yoga. And she said stuff like, I'm really into Aerosmith and Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses. And I guess it makes sense that she's into all those classic rock bands because when she was Home Secretary, she got the whole country into Dire Straits, didn't she?
Nice.
But she also said she used to be a goth as well.
I don't buy it for a second.
Oh, I can imagine it for her.
I can see her being an inspiration for goths because she makes people miserable. They all don't know what to do they? You know, even Kemi Badenoch desperately trying to be...
Can we please talk about her entering into the Tory leadership race?
So who have we got? We've got Patel, Badenoch,
Jenrick,
Tom. Can I say quickly Tom Tugendhat hat before we go?
Little Tommy Tugendhat.
My favourite thing about him is once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. But if you look at all the pictures he's done in the last couple of weeks, he stood next to the word Tom in massive letters. So it'll be like behind his head, Tom, and he was on a podium and it said Tom on the front. And then he did one today, and it was like bunting above his head, and it said Tom, like that. And I was just like, someone's clearly told him, and no one knows who the fuck you are.
Yeah. I think he's gone full America with his approach to his campaign because he's had his face put on M&Ms.
No way.
Great.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, there's like blue M&Ms with Tom Tugendhat's face on it.
That's what people go to M&M World for their Tory leadership collection. With that, there was actually a poll which said that basically no one knows who they are.
Yeah, none of them.
And Carl, we've missed out James Cleverly, and of course we've missed out hot favourite Mel Stride again. I think everyone's talking about him, can't get enough of him. I do like the media's interpretation of like the leadership launches because they always mention what they've offered the journalists in terms of food and drink. Priti Patel had soft drinks including mango lassies and a bit of Priti Patel merch with a tote bag that has Priti Patel on it.
I kind of want one.
We'll try and source one for you. If anyone can send in a Priti Patel tote bag for Queenie, that'd be great.
If you want to make your own Priti Patel hat, you just need some tinfoil.
Badenoch, she gave teas, coffees and smoothies. And James Cleverly, teas, coffees and homemade cupcakes with a side of nondescript nightclub music, according to Politico. Obviously trying to draw in Michael Gove.
Or Angela Rayner.
Yeah, or Rayner.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that.
On Badenoch, when she was in government, she had quite a strict food and drink rider. And one of the things she had on was room temperature Coke Zero.
That is the most shocking thing.
She specifically requested room temperature Coke Zero in meetings.
That should automatically count her out of any possible leadership bid.
You can't have someone like that leading the country.
That's worse than anything she's ever said.
She put them out at her leadership launch and they had a little sign up saying room temperature Coke Zeros.
Oh no.
That's really embarrassing.
So she thought it was a thing to own.
At an award ceremony, David Tennant told her or said that he wanted her to shut up. And she's clipped it together for her introduction video. I love that she's based her whole campaign on David Tennant doesn't like me. National treasure, David Tennant doesn't like me. People's princess, David Tennant.
What I quite liked about it is David Tennant, she said, I'm actually not afraid of Doctor Who. And you think, yeah, because you're not a 12-year-old boy. Like, what? That's not a thing to show off.
Running for Dalek Parliament.
I was going to say, no one's scared of Doctor Who, apart from... Everyone's scared of the Daleks.
Maybe that's just me as a 12-year-old boy, then fine, okay. Very controversial take. I think that people who like Doctor who are adults are worse than Disney adults. Sorry, anyone.
I can't agree more.
Get a real hobby like Warhammer.
Every idea starts with a problem. Warby Parker's was simple. Glasses are too expensive. So they set out to change that. By designing glasses in-house and selling directly to customers, they're able to offer prescription eyewear that's expertly crafted and unexpectedly affordable. Warby Parker glasses are made from premium materials like impact-resistant polycarbonate and custom acetate. And they start at just $95, including prescription lenses. Get glasses made from the good stuff. Stop by a Warby Parker store near you.
Welcome back to In the News This Week. We've actually already had complaints from Doctor Who fans about Jack.
They're in the walls.
For balance, people who love Doctor Who are great people.
That's not what you said during the break, Jack. You said Doctor Who cares.
Honestly, Doctor Who fans, really lovely people, really smart, and it's cool that they watch children's programmes. It's cool.
Jack has a gun to his head.
It genuinely feels like when, you get one of those like politicians that's been caught doing something they shouldn't, and they have to come outside the front of their house with their family and pretend.
I've already tweeted a picture of Notes apology, so...
Mate, don't be all Keir Starmer and Labour and...
I know,
Yeah.
it's true.
Calm
I stand
down.
by it. I stand by it.
Say it with
There you
chest.
go.
I did like Christopher Eccleston as Doctor Who. I'll say that. He was very cool.
Oh, God.
It sounds like you've watched a lot of Doctor Who, Jack.
Maybe I hate myself. Maybe I hate myself.
Okay, I think it's time for round 2 now. So this is where we each bring a story from the past week that we think would work best for round 2 of the TV show. So Jack, just so you can redeem yourself, why don't you start? What story have you brought this week?
So I'm going to just read out the headline straight as I read it. But the story was, a man was left behind by co-workers to climb a mountain alone, then got lost, fell 20 times and had to be rescued. So basically what happened, it was an office retreat in Colorado. They went on a big hike as part of their office retreat, and these work people went ahead without one of their colleagues. And he got completely lost, ran out of phone signal and had to have this big rescue. But what I quite liked is the search and rescue team that found him. One of the quotes they said about the incident was, it might cause some awkward encounters at the office in the coming days and weeks. Which you think, well, at the same time, they're probably going to bond over the best piece of workplace gossip since Sandra got shit-faced at the Christmas party. That's what I feel like it will bring them together in that
Why
way.
have they said that? Did they find him without his trousers or something?
But like, they're in a search and rescue capacity.
They're shit stirring.
Why are they commenting, like making jokes about this guy and being like, oh, it's a bit awkward in the office? You think, well, no, he's probably not quite well. I think he's in his 50s.
Was there a reason that they left him or he left them?
Is he super forgettable?
So there's no explanation about why they left him. But basically, everyone reading that article will think exactly the same thing, which is he's definitely the most annoying person in the office, right? 100%.
Yeah.
And as a quick exercise, what I thought was, I would like you all now to, in your head, think of a person that you've worked with that you would abandon on a mountainside.
Can I do who would I not abandon?
No.
Because that's easier.
It's that smaller
cool.
list.
You've got to choose your top abandonee.
Okay,
Thing is,
Jesus.
I'm struggling to think of anyone. And you know what they say? That if you can't think of the person who's the worst person in the office, you work in a fantastic workplace where everyone must be really nice.
Definitely.
Yeah. There's another good quote where the search and rescue team said, I do want to state the hiker was not abandoned outright by his group.
God.
So he was a bit of a prick, basically.
Well, it's even worse. Like, they didn't abandon him on purpose. They just completely forgot that he existed.
I think it's worse that you're so forgettable, you'll get abandoned in a forest.
Yeah. He's not the bad guy in the office. He's just like, oh, does that guy work here?
Oh my God, maybe he did it on purpose that he'd have a story for the office because he
that's
is
a great shout.
so forgettable.
Right, he's trying to make a name for himself. Everyone's going to invite him to all his parties to tell his story about getting lost. And he'll get a bit of sympathy.
Yeah.
I like your thinking, Emerald. That's really smart.
He slipped a fiver to the rescue guys. Go, can you make it sound a bit edgy, a bit?
I've gone total 180 on this now.
Why were they on a mountain if they work in an office?
It was an office retreat, a team bonding exercise.
Should we do that, guys? Should we go Waite?
What's their office? Is it like Bond villain?
They've got to go down a ski
Why are
slope.
they on the other side of a mountain? What?
They're obviously some kind of like tech company to go and do kind of active things or...
Oh, so they're all arseholes.
Yeah.
Queenie, what's your story this
Hello.
week?
In a bit of a change of tone from that, but also from what I usually talk about. After the far-right AfD party won a state election for the first time in Germany, the German government are selling Joseph Goebbels' villa.
Sheesh.
But the kicker is they're trying to sell it to someone who isn't a Nazi. And that's
Right.
really difficult.
Oh, because everyone wanting to buy it is into
a Nazi.
Nazi stuff, right?
They've had some suggestions from the public of what to do with it, because some people want to make it a heritage site. Someone wants to make it a BMX track. I think that it's quite relevant, not just because it's from this week, but because of the rise of the far right in Germany in their recent election. There was I mean, this isn't funny, and it probably, I don't know whether it'd be a round 2 story, more like round 1 question 2 if we were talking about it. But there was a headline that said, the new far right being elected in Germany takes us into uncharted territory. And it's like, no, that was definitely very much charted territory.
Yeah.
I think we know where that's
A
heading.
lot of books on that.
There was a thing that came out at the same time saying Reform UK are looking at how successful the far right have been in Germany, and they're looking at how they can sort of follow the blueprint.
Oh, yeah.
But I think we definitely talk about it because, like, you know, I don't think we go in on the Goebbels house.
No, it might be an UPO.
You'd
I
take it
think
as
to
a question
get in-
or something, wouldn't you?
Absolutely, yeah. But I think we would talk about the rise of the far right.
What's UTBO?
Yeah, an UPO is what some of us say instead of off of the back of. Because often stories like roll on and like there's small things you can tag on. Mm-hmm. And UPO is one of the more annoying shortenings that we have. Any more annoying ones?
We never say odd one out, we say ooh.
Yeah.
It's
Really?
Just like oh.
You just go,
And it's a
or
weird...
oddie.
Yeah.
And missing words round? What do you do for that?
Was
Oh, we've all given up. We've all given up by now.
I would watch a Selling Sunset episode where they're trying to sell a Nazi house.
I think that's the only time I'd watch Selling Sunset, if I'm honest.
I don't know what this is, but...
Oh, classic
Oh,
Mike.
God.
Sorry, I'm not being a dick. I just don't know.
Really?
What is
The Netflix series where it's like they're selling high-end property and get lots of commission and they're all glam and like there's lots of drama.
And the property company is owned by these two little twin men.
Is it?
It sounds like Homes Under the Hammer, but on an American glamour budget.
Thank you for that story, Queenie. Mike, what is your round 2 suggestion?
Mine's frivolous and irritating.
What a setup.
Yeah, I've been made aware of a new social media trend that's immensely irritating, and it's called the airport tray aesthetic. And what it is people are taking arty photos of their possessions in their airport X-ray tray. So when you have to take your belt off at 5:30 in the morning and your shoes, and then they're posting it on Instagram in an arty pic, and everything about it and everyone involved is an abomination and it's awful. As with all things on social media, no one's actually just going, oh, I've got a natty belt and a beaten up iPhone and here's my plane ticket.
I was talking to my grandfather. Natty belt. What?
Natty?
We've gone back to 1930.
What? Wow.
Sorry, Mike.
This whole story is going to sound like that. Like old man shouting at the sky.
Can I just say,
Yeah.
I'm absolutely with Mike on all of this because I read this as well.
Oh, me
so
too.
keep going, Mike.
People are like curating these boxes and they're like matching iPhone cases and like headphones and then they're putting filters on them and it's just so shit. And The Guardian are really excited about it, which is another red flag. And they've called it the new digital flex. And the only digital flex it makes me want to do is raise my middle finger.
Very good.
I didn't know there was a way to get me more annoyed
Yeah.
at those security checks because I get so fucked
Yeah.
off with people just getting there and then they go, oh, I've got to take my belt off. It's like, yeah, I took my belt off before I even got into the airport, mate.
Yeah.
You shouldn't
I
have
was
done
ready
that,
to
Jack.
go. I was ready to go.
You gave people the wrong impression there.
That's why they never let you fly. Did give me think I've got a little game for you guys.
Ooh.
About social media trends because they're in the papers all the time. So I've picked some out that have been in the papers over the last few months in a game I'm catchily titling Trend or Not a Trend.
The Ron Sealer titles that we wanted.
Yeah. I'm going to give you the name of a trend and I want you to tell me what it is and if it's real or not. And I've made some of these up.
This is
Very fun.
excellent.
Why fronting?
I think why does that ring a bell?
What do you imagine it is, first of all?
Wearing white front pants.
It's actually putting pants on boxes of cereal in a supermarket aisle.
Huh.
Is it real or have I made that up?
That sounds like it's annoying enough to be a social media trend. As in the sort of thing you go, oh, why are you doing that?
I want to say it's not, or it's from 2001, and it's really old.
If you've made it up, Mike, I'm excited for you to spark a new social media trend.
Yeah.
Well, guys, get excited because I made that up.
Oh, yeah.
It just shows you how stupid social media is that was illegal.
We were confused.
Okay, next one, the egg crack challenge.
Oh, is that just like smashing eggs on your head and one person's got the unlucky, not hard-boiled one?
Or is it fitting as many eggs in your crack as possible?
God.
Another Jack pastime.
Is it the one where you make the sound and you do the kind of hand movements over someone's head and they feel like an egg is cracked over
I would
them?
love
'Cause that's
Very
just
secondary
something.
school move.
I love
Yeah,
that.
that's just something
Yeah.
we did in secondary
Yeah,
school.
my dad. That was one of my dad's signature moves when we were kids to do the old fake egg. No, I would love it if it happened.
Sounds like
that.
Reiki.
So this is actually real. And what people did was, specifically parents, they'd film themselves baking with their kids, quite often like young children. And then when it got to the egg bit, they'd be reading the recipe and they'd go, we've got the flour in. And then they go, oh, now we need to crack an egg. And they'd smack the egg off their kid's head to crack it and then put it into the bowl.
I
And
remember
then
this now.
stand there laughing while the child, I'd say at least 50% of the time in the videos I've seen for research
cry.
purposes, they cry.
No.
The person you trust the most in life is smacking food stuff
You in the
against you.
head.
Yeah.
If you watch them all cut together in like a montage, it's the funniest shit that you've ever seen.
So I forgot we have Queenie here.
That's how Queenie gets to sleep.
Oh my God.
I'll give you one more. Raw dogging.
Oh God.
See, I know this is a thing.
Oh, I know what this is.
Is it a trend or is it just something that people do?
I kind of want to give Queenie a clue, but I'm trying to think.
Is it using public transport without your headphones?
Oh, you're very close, but not public transport. Well, public transport for Rishi Sunak.
Oh, I'm confused.
Okay, my understanding is that it's when people get on a flight and then don't do anything except for stare at the seat in front of them the whole time, and like footballers are doing it, and productivity people.
Why are you all nodding like people know what this
I
is?
love that this isn't me.
Never heard of
This is
it.
how I normally feel about everything you guys say. Oh, there's a show called Reality Sunset where two twins sell people houses. Oh, no, there's this thing called Brat Summer and everyone's a brat. Are you a brat? I'm a brat. Oh, no, Brat Summer's over now, Mike. Forget about it.
No, I feel the weird sense of superiority that you've been projecting. I feel it. It's in my body. What is this? I've not heard of this before.
No, so raw dogging, it's exactly like Emil said, but people are like priding themselves on it. So it's like priding yourself on the ability, and they're trying to outdo each other. So someone will be like, I just raw dogged a 9-hour flight, and it'll be a video of them sitting, like not watching the movies, not eating the snacks, not having the meal, not drinking anything, and they just sit there like this for 9 hours. And then people are like, I raw dogged an 11-hour flight.
I feel like I'm going insane because everyone knows where that word comes from, right? And you're just kind of saying it like it's casual.
Yeah.
But are we just ignoring that? That's fine. I can do that.
Yeah.
We don't need to talk about its sexy nature.
So I feel like you could play a game with those airport trays where you're guessing which politician or public figure has put their tray down, and maybe that's how you get into some of the other stories.
Rainers definitely has like 6 Lost Marys.
And a strange little baggie. Oh no, that's Michael Gove.
Yeah.
Emerald, I think that's more than enough of social media trends. Please save us and tell us what your story is. And hopefully it's not a social media trend.
It's not a social media trend.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, thank goodness. But I'm going to take the Jack route, and I'm going to read you the headline that originally hooked me into this, which was 3 months into their global cruise, they've not left Belfast.
Wow.
So this is a story about a cruise called Villa V Residences Odyssey. Basically, it arrived in Belfast. It was meant to be outfitted and leave in May for a 3-year cruise.
Who's going on a 3-year cruise?
Yeah, people have bought rooms on this cruise for 3 years, but it had problems with its rudders and its gearbox, and so it's just been sitting in Belfast while the repairs are happening, and people have spent $999,000 to $899,000 to buy their cabin, and the cruise just isn't moving.
Holy mama, that is insane.
Are they on the ship?
Well, so this is the fun thing. Basically, they have their room on the ship, but they're not allowed to spend the night there. So they can go on the ship in the daytime, and then they have to disembark in the evenings back into Belfast.
And what, do they get put up, or do they have to, are they on the street? Are they like street urchins?
They do get put up somewhere, but there were a lot of quotes from this woman called Holly Hennessy from Florida, and she said, it's like being on the cruise, except we're not moving. Which basically the best thing about this is they're all desperately trying to make the most of it, all these people who are passengers on it. This woman, Holly, said she took it as a personal endurance test, and she had an interview on This Morning, and she said she's had to buy vitamin D.
Welcome to the UK.
It's like pirates getting scurvy, and they're getting vitamin deficiencies, and they haven't even left port yet.
Oh man, imagine that. You pay nearly $1 million to get scurvy.
She said she's been to the Giant's Causeway twice.
Wow.
And do you want to know what she said about it? This amazing natural formation of rocks?
It's big.
She said, I think it's the best marketing job for a bunch of rocks in the whole world. And she said the best part of the
Stonehenge
trip
is pretty
was
good.
the stop at Bushmills, which is a whiskey distillery.
Now hold on, because there are some terrible rocks that have been marketed as
True.
being
Rosetta
these-
Stone.
Oh, that's a great rock.
That's actually quite a good one. Culturally, it's pretty impressive.
That's propaganda that you've fallen for.
To be fair to her, it's still only the second worst ship disaster to leave from Belfast. So.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a reverse Titanic.
You'd rather it be that way than
Yeah.
go, come on, we'll give it a go. Let's try.
It was either that or fly on a Boeing home. So.
I'm still like baffled by the type of people who'd go on a 3-year-long cruise.
Some people have sold their houses. That's the slightly grim bit.
Yeah, you kind of go on that cruise to die, don't you? So the fact they're going to do it in Belfast kind of sucks. You think, I'm going to go to Honolulu, and instead you're spending the night in a Belfast Airbnb, having gone to a load of stones, apparently.
So another great thing about Holly Hennessy is that she is on this cruise with her cat.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, she's taken her cat on this
I
cruise.
thought you were going to say her husband.
No,
Well,
it's Holly and her cat. She's one of those people that JD Vance hates. The cat is called Captain, and he wears a little captain's hat.
Cat's called Captain. Mm-hmm. Was it? Do you know if it was called Captain before the cruise, or if she just like kidnapped a captive cat captain?
Are you okay, Queenie?
No.
My impression from Holly is that she loves ships and boats, so I suspect it was called Captain before.
Can't they just get their money back?
I don't know. None of them have mentioned this. This is why I think they're just desperately trying to
They don't
make the
even
most of
care.
it. None of them have mentioned getting their money back. Holly Hennessy, there's some fun pictures of her posing at the dockyard, like smiling, pretending like she's having this amazing time on holiday.
She's basically raw dogging her holiday.
Yes. Okay, it's time to vote for our winner. Whose story did we think would be best as a round 2?
I would like to vote for Jack's Man on a Mountain because I just think that's ridiculous. And I think there's a lot of distance to travel, pardon the pun. I just thought it was very stupid, and that's a good round 2.
I really like Emerald's story. I think it's great. Anything involved with a cat, big fan of. It's bleak, and I love how bleak it is.
It's apt for this week. We started with a pigeon eating sick, and we've ended with a cat stuck in Belfast. And that feels apt. And so for that reason, Emerald, you're also getting my vote.
Thank you.
And Emerald, who's getting your vote?
I'm torn between Jack, Man on a Mountain and Mike's airport trays. But I think because, Mike, your game was amazing with the airport trays, and I think there's a lot of juice to be squeezed out of ridiculous social media trends, I'm going to go for Mike.
So I make that 1 vote for me, 1 vote for Jack, but 2 votes for Emerald.
Guess so.
Woo.
So Emerald, you're like the woman in Belfast. You want to leave this bleak place, but I'm sorry, I'm afraid you're going to have to come back for the next 3 months. No, so it's next week and host
I'll bring my cat.
Captain Cat. So thank you for listening to In the News this week.
For updates on the show, make sure you're following Have I Got News For You on Instagram, TikTok and X, formerly known as Twitter.
You can also get in touch with us there using the hashtag HignifiPod or emailing podcasts@hattrick.com. That's hattrick with 2 T's.
Make sure you're followed and subscribed to the podcast wherever you're listening to it now, and we'll see you here for next week's episode. Everyone say goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
No.
Bye.
In the News this week is presented by Jack Harris, Queenie Miller, Emerald Paston and Mike Raymond. The producer is Diggory Waite. The engineer is John Wakefield. The executive producer is Claire Broughton. And the music is by Big George. In the News this week is a Hat Trick podcast. Do you remember your sex education? Was it helpful to you? Was it filled with scientific information rather than real, practical advice? I'm Diggory Waite, and this is The Real Sex Education. In this podcast, I'll be interrogating sexual myths, posing sex questions to special guests, and opening up our mailbox to answer your relationship conundrums. In order to do this, though, I need an expert. A sexpert, if you will. But the only sex and relationship therapist I know is my mum. Hello, Mum.
Hello, Diggs.
Listen and subscribe to The Real Sex Education, wherever you get your podcasts.